Chad and Swisher do a community podcast. This podcast is brought to you by the Ohio Guys Productions, powered by RealNerdCorp.com, live on twitch.tv/Comic and Game Corp. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. If you didn't already know, I am your host for this evening. I am the Crown Vic of podcasting, so I call myself, and I'm getting ready to graduate from Greendale Community College. My name is Alex Swisher. Joining me, as always, my trusty co-host. You can call him Chad Oil Can Porto. Chad?
I hate you.
So, we are here back after a little break to talk about Community. We are doing this is episode 4, senior year. Title of this episode is We're Really Filling in Some Plot Holes Here. That is an accurate description of the season and the title of this episode of the podcast. So, what are your overall thoughts on season 4, Chad?
Season 4 might be the best season of the entire series.
I'm inclined to agree.
And if you don't agree with that statement, you will at least agree with there is no such thing as a bad season of Community.
Yes.
I think, this gets a lot of hubbub, if you will, some brouhaha, some scuttlebutt, if you may, because Dan Harmon left the series before season 4 because of issues with NBC's creativity. Now, here's the thing. A lot of the issues that people have with season 4 weren't season 4's fault. They were set long before in season 2 when they started to get more zany than anything. And I think that's where a lot of people are like, it's not what I remember it was. Well, then you weren't watching the last 2 seasons because this is exactly what this show has been. They just continued that trend. They also had to deal with the fact that, one, I don't know why people shoot shows the way they do, but this show was shot in a way where Pierce wasn't in a lot of episodes or chunks of episodes because they didn't shoot. Like you would think that they would just shoot like scene by scene, episode by episode, 1 through 13. But that's not what they did. They did the final, then 4, then 2, and why? I don't know. I assume for guest stars and whatnot, scheduled around their availability. But it ended up having scenes where Pierce wasn't involved in episodes, even though he was on in later episodes. Like, for instance, the penultimate episode where they discovered that they're part of the the Tapestry of Doom or whatever it was called. And there's a shot of a dude who's supposed to be Pierce, but they couldn't get Chevy Chase back because he had already quit the show, fumbling and bumbling around. And I'm just like, but he's in the finale. So I don't know. This season's definitely weird at times, but it has some of the best episodes and some of the best guest spots of any of the seasons. Starting with the late great Fred Willard in episode 1 where they do a reboot, and they bring him in to be the Pierce, and that was just fucking great. All the while, Pierce is like manhandling balls.
Oh yeah, yeah, because that was that episode was about them trying to get all of them trying to get into
the history
of ice cream. Mm-hmm. And Abed is struggling with graduating.
Specifically,
the idea
with Jeff
of graduating.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because Jeff is graduating early. So, like we've done the last 3 episodes, we're gonna hit the character arcs one by one. In this season, Pierce gets fired. For real. That's his arc.
Yeah. I mean, so backstory before we get into Pierce as a character. Chevy Chase was unhappy with and by unhappy it says here that he was angry with the direction that Pierce's character was heading in. I'm just seeing that he said some things. He used the N-word while venting his frustrations. But Jay Chandrasekhar argued that Chase's use of the word was political in an attempt to point out how racist his character had become. Regardless, the slur upset cast members and Chase walk off the set. This was during the filming of advanced documentary filmmaking. And Andy Bobrow said that it was not fun at all to write Chevy Chase out of the show because for a couple weeks, we did not know from day to day, from hour to hour, whether we had Chevy or not. We literally had to come up with multiple contingency plans. What if you had Chevy for one more day? What if you didn't have him at all? What if you had him, but only under very specific conditions? It drove us fucking crazy. So yeah, his Pierce was absent. Pierce was absent for 2 episodes. He did not appear in episode 10, Intro to Knots, or the episode 12, which is Heroic Origins. And he was voice only role in episode Into Felt Surrogacy, which was the final episode produced for the season. So yeah, and then it's also the last season that you will see Chevy Chase as Pierce Hawthorne because of the whole situation.
There's more to that. It's not listed there, but there had been issues with Chevy and the show for years, and he blamed a lot of it on Dan Harmon. So that was kind of one of those things where when it finally boiled over, I was surprised that Chevy ended up leaving. But it's one of those things where shit happens. And Jay Chandrasekhar, I'll never pronounce that right.
We say this every time.
I know, and he's a really funny guy, and he's a great writer and a good director. If he says that it wasn't intentional or malicious and it was about political nonsense, all right, fine, I believe that. But considering most of the cast still has a good relationship with him, I have to imagine that his issues weren't exactly, I guess, one of the same with everyone else as it was with NBC and the showrunners. So, but then again, Chevy Chase has always been notoriously hard to deal with. Like, that's kind of his shtick.
But I think I understand if that is the reason why he was frustrated with the show. Like, there gets to be a point where, like, you would think that Pierce as a character would learn eventually. Like, I understand he's set in his ways, but his development throughout the first 4 seasons has been slow going the entire time. I mean, you kind of look at like his relationship with his father and how he treats people, and the way that Pierce responded to his father, and in turn would treat people. Like, there was a whole episode, was it season 3, where with Hawthorne wipes, and how the Hawthorne wipes were for the gays. And just because his father came around, it shut him down. But Pierce was completely open to being what did he say? Didn't he call himself the king of the gays?
Yeah, I think so.
Or something like that. So, like, the whole point of Pierce's character was that slowly and surely over time, exposure to this group of people would help him learn from his mistakes. So I don't see why whoever the showrunner was for season 4 would think that it would be a good idea to regress his character. Like,
I don't even know necessarily that they did regress his character.
Right. I'm not saying that that's the case, but like, if you're going to take one step backwards, why do anything in the show that feels like the character is taking one step forward? Why do anything in the show that makes it feel like the character is taking 2 steps backwards? Like, I feel like if that's what it was, a lot could be avoided through non-bullshit. But it's hindsight is always 20/20. So, the big character arcs besides Pierce.
Yes. Jeff's graduating.
Jeff is graduating, and he is not only graduating, but he's graduating early.
Yep.
And the rest of the study group has to kind of come to terms with how they feel about not being together anymore. What else is happening with everybody? I'm trying to remember.
I have a pretty good idea. Shirley's running her sandwich shop.
That's right.
And trying to manage a life as a mother and as a wife and as a leading valedictorian candidate. Which
That's right.
I don't think we ever find out who wins. Annie is kind of depressed because she's taking classes she doesn't really like because she doesn't want to be a hospital, whatever it was. So she wants to, so she starts taking, what the fuck classes were those? She starts trying to become a forensic scientist.
That's right, yeah.
Britta and Troy start dating. And
yes.
I actually have, because I've watched all these seasons multiple times. And I didn't initially like the pairing because it felt a little too jarring considering who they are. But I actually really like the relationship now. And more to the end, I actually like how it ended. Like the ability to kind of just say, like, it's we still care about each other, but we aren't a great couple, or we're not as good of a couple as we were as friends. And he's like,
Yeah.
it shouldn't be that hard. And I really like that because it really showed a lot of maturity on Troy's side. And I thought that was great.
Yeah.
Abed's just having a meltdown every day. That's his arc.
that really is his arc. Is that Abed is out of everybody having the hardest time coping with the idea that their time at Greendale might end.
And the dean is
So
tough.
the dean is just as lustful for Jeff as ever.
Also, Chang has a big arc where he has Changnesia.
And for most of the season, he parades around under the alias of Kevin. Is that right? He was Kevin,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
This season also brought in some of the better cameos. James Brolin played William Winger, Jeff's dad. That's another arc that was mentioned, that Jeff finally connected with his father. And Pierce was actually very helpful at a certain point with regards to Jeff and Britta specifically. And Pierce even kind of scolded him. He's like, it was real nice of Britta to help you reconnect with your father. Maybe you can show her the same kind of kindness. And I'm like, holy shit, Pierce, what the hell? So that's
she
a great
sucked
thing.
that whole episode.
Yeah.
Britta was bad that whole episode.
What's his name? Adam Devine.
Adam Devine.
Yeah, he was in there as Jeff's half brother. Josh Alexander was in an episode. I forget his name in Seinfeld.
Jason Alexander.
Yeah. Sorry, I call him Josh. Whatever.
Yeah.
I got the
he didn't
impact
have
on
a
the
name.
brain.
He didn't have a name. He was just in Intro to Felt Surrogacy as Mountain Man.
No, I meant his name in Seinfeld.
Oh,
George
Costanza.
There it is. Sarah Bareilles is in this as the balloon guide, and she's the best part of the entire season. Don't at me.
So, I didn't say this before because I don't know if I'm right, but I believe her name is pronounced Sarah Bareilles.
Bareilles? I thought it was Bareilles.
I don't know.
Well, it's gonna be Sarah Porto soon, so don't even worry about it.
That's
Don't
okay.
even care if
She's
married. Don't even care. I'll make it work. I didn't want a love song. That's a joke if you know her music.
her music is it's crazy. Like I don't know. Like besides Love Song, like has she had like another like huge hit?
Well, I wouldn't say huge, but she did a song a couple years back called "Brave."
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
And
I just know that. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. It turns out a lot of these acts, they end up having minor hits that you go, "Oh yeah, I didn't even realize that was her."
So you want to hear something funny? I know
Yes.
it's not in the right state, but she was born in Eureka, California.
What's up?
It's
Eureka.
not the right state. If it was Eureka, Oregon,
Well, they may just say it's Eureka, California. We don't know that Eureka, California actually exists.
right? We don't know. These
know?
are all things.
Whenever someone gets redacted, they might just put down Eureka, California instead. Who knows? There might be like 1,000 people from Eureka, California that actually lived in Eureka, Oregon. I'm just saying, like these are things that could happen. By the by, did I tell you I
True.
have the Eureka 4-season box set, the complete series?
Yes. So who else was a guest star? We had Giancarlo Esposito came back to reprise his role as Gilbert.
Oh, I was about to say the name sounds familiar, but yes, Gilbert. He's awesome. I love Gilbert. He needed
Yes.
more time in the show.
He absolutely did. I think that's the thing. I think if Pierce hadn't gotten written off, I think they could have really expanded on their relationship as half brothers.
We had Chris Diem. He's Greek. Don't ask me. As Reinhold.
Diamantopoulos.
Diamantopoulos.
Diamantopoulos. Yeah.
So he played Reinhold. The Germans were back in a great episode that we'll get to. Just so good.
Sophie B. Hawkins as herself,
Yup.
which is a fucking fantastic episode. Brie Larson. Oh my God, Rachel. There's something. I don't know what it is. Like when I see Brie Larson, like as Captain Marvel, I'm like, yeah, She's attractive, but then something here with like the glasses and her not being blonde and her having the brunette hair, like, yeah.
I find her insufferable, but she's so good in Community. It's like the last thing I really liked her in before she decided to get all high and mighty about everything.
But Chad,
Yes.
hello again, friend of a friend. I knew you win. Dan, Dan, Dan.
It's a good. I again loved her then. It's only post Community I've had an issue with her.
Yeah.
And that
I-
hair. Oh my god! In Scott Pilgrim, that was some hair.
Yeah, oh yeah. The crazy thing to me is that I didn't realize that Brie Larson was younger than Allison Brie.
Oh yeah, Allison Brie's like 40.
Yeah, she's 37.
Yeah,
Brie Larson is 31.
Like you gotta like even 10 years ago, Brie Larson, Allison Brie would have been 28.
Yeah, way above where her character. I mean, what? Like 10 years ago, we would have been in season 2,
One.
season 3.
I thought the show started in 2010.
Did it start in 2010?
Maybe it was
When
2009.
did-
So she would have been
Uh,
26.
So its first season started airing in September of 2009.
Yeah, that's what I said. I think it started in 2009.
That yeah, I don't know why I just said that. Of course, that's what you said, Chad.
No, did you not hear me?
You said 2010.
Right, and then I stopped and said I think it might be 2009.
Oh no, I didn't hear that.
Because I was doing the math in my head. Because like this aired at the second half of 2013, which would have been the winter and spring. So that means that if it was 4 years, it would have been 2009 because that's when it would have started. So it's just simple math.
Yeah.
But
no matter
still,
how you look
27.
at it, she was way older than Annie Edison.
Yes, who was 18.
Yeah. Who
And-
else was in the?
Joel
Yeah, go
McHale
ahead.
was listed to be a lot younger in the show because in season 4 he talked about being in his 30s, and he would have been at least 40 in real life.
Is season 4 the episode? Which season is it where like he reveals that he's actually a lot older than he says he is?
Probably 6.
Might be, yeah. Natasha Leggero is Misty. I don't remember.
The stripper whore who slept with Andre.
That's right. Yeah.
Don't forget about you skipped her because I don't think you know her, but Trisha Helfer. She was in Battlestar
Oh.
Galactica, and she's done a lot of sci-fi stuff since. She played the woman obsessed with Jeff, Who, when she thought he was Brutalitops, whatever his name was. Or no, Brutalitops
yes,
is the name of
that's it.
Chang's character.
What was the name of that?
Thoraxis. That's what it was.
Thraxis, yeah.
Bow down before
That whole episode.
Thoraxis.
Man, Allison Brie in that whole episode.
Right? Mrs. Weber.
that did something. That like struck something inside of me that I did not know existed.
It hit everything I already knew existed, and I'm slightly ashamed for.
Oh yes, I'm very ashamed.
I'm not really that ashamed. You know, it's consenting adults. Fuck off.
So Matt
Iqbal
Lucas
Thiba's
as
back
Toby.
as. Oh,
Yep.
yeah. Iqbal Thiba's back as Abed's dad, and Matt Lucas as Toby. He was, I think, the worst guest star. I don't even know what he's in, truthfully.
Conventions of Space.
No,
and Time.
I know the episode
Oh.
because he was in the Thoraxis episode. I meant in general.
He was in. He's best known for his work on the BBC sketch comedy series Rock Profile, Little Britain, and Come Fly with Me. So it looks like he's mainly known in like the English circles, and I guess that's probably like a good thing that they got him for that because like it really kind of like hones in on the whole this is a Doctor Who ripoff, and you know the biggest Doctor Who fans obviously come from England.
They should have gotten
So-
what's his face. God damn it! Why do I say that? I know you don't know who I'm talking about. He's the
What's his
tall,
face?
lanky, blonde dude. He's British. He's got glasses. He used to do a podcast with Ricky Gervais.
That would require me to have listened or watched anything with Ricky Gervais in it.
It was great because they had this dude named Carl who was just the dumbest box of shit you've ever seen, and everything he would say like dogs don't have soul, and like Ricky Gervais would just start laughing because it was just like what? Why is this a thing? He was in an episode of. He was actually in 2 episodes of Modern Family. You continue the list. I'm gonna go looking for it.
Yeah,
have it
Jerry
pulled up.
Minor returns and returns as Jerry the janitor. And then, of course, we already hit on it. Fred Willard played Alternative Pierce,
Alt
or is
Pierce.
known as Alter Pierce. And then also in Conventions of Space and Time, Luke Perry and Jenny Garth play the American version of Inspector Spacetime and the American version of Inspector Spacetime's. Is it Ensign?
Ensign.
Yeah, that's one word. It's like bosun, like on a ship. Like I know bosun can be spelled Bosun or Boatswain. Yeah. Yeah, so Luke Perry has an uncredited cameo.
Yeah, he
Rest
was
in
at the
peace.
end of the episode.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Luke Perry and Fred Willard. So yeah, definitely hit some major marks with the cameos from some very fantastic stars. Where do we go from here?
I'm looking to
How-
make a point about something that I would wish I would have seen instead, but I need to find the dude's fucking name first. Nope, that's not.
and
it.
welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Chad needs to make a point.
It's not a point, but the character of Matt that Matt Lucas played, Toby, I didn't like at all, and I thought it really hurt the actual fucking episode because he was just I don't know. There's just something about him. Did you feel the same way? Because I didn't really feel like he worked.
I think that for what they were going for of the character who's trying to split up our favorite duo in the show of Troy and Abed, I don't think he elicited enough of a strong reaction because that's like a villain thing to do, like a very deep antagonist. And he just kind of elicited like, man, this guy's annoying. Like I can't wait for this episode to be done so he's gone. So like for what they wanted him for, I don't think he elicited a strong enough reaction.
So you want to hate me? I figured out who it was, and I shouldn't have ever forgotten his name.
Uh-huh.
Stephen Merchant.
My God.
That's what I was thinking of. He does this character on Modern Family where he's like a butler, but he's like really good at his job and he never asks any questions. It's like if they give him like some weird, and he was just great in it. And I've seen him in a bunch of shit. But I always thought like someone like him, someone who's a little bit more domineering, physically speaking, would have been a better role for that character because he could have stood tall and quite literally have imposed himself on the friendship in more than just a metaphysical sense. And
Yeah.
I think Stephen Merchant should be in half the things in the world anyway. So like, it would have been a better option. Plus, he's much better as a comedic actor, in my opinion, than the guy we got. He just kind of seemed like, yeah, you're weird looking. You shave your head, and you shouldn't. And you definitely look like the kind of guy who would not have any friends because you look like the kind of
Yeah.
guy who pretty much lives in your basement and yells at people on Twitter. But I did like the little thing where they're like, Abed, because like he gave the guy money to come to America because he didn't have enough money but he would pay them when he got there. And they're like, Abed, you just got totally scammed. Then the guy shows up and pays Abed back. I thought that was adorable.
yeah.
I'm like, that's a great little kind of like, I don't want to say subversion of expectation because I fucking hate that phrase. Because it just means that something that was supposed to be good was shitty and they subverted your expectation. No. But in this case, I like that in a sense that they did actually subvert that expectation. I thought it was a great kind of flip on the head. Plus, they did like a bunch of great stuff in that episode with Troy and Britta. Like where they melded them together in the photo, and he's like, "No, I want to be melded forever with Abed," and Britta's like, "How should I feel about that?"
I think that episode is actually really good for all of the characters. I know that Pierce and Shirley got kind of like railroaded off into this very minor side story, but like I think it's very funny that like they did exactly what they would do as their characters when presented with an opportunity, and that was they were looking for opinions, and there's nobody more opinionated in the history of the world than Pierce Hawthorne.
And Shirley.
And Shirley too, but and Pierce, I don't even actually I retract this statement. I don't think Pierce is that opinionated. I just think he will give his opinions to anyone who will listen.
Yeah. His opinions don't have a lot of weight, but he just likes to be heard. That was a great little moment too.
Like heard.
Because at one point Britt is like, I have two friends who aren't really into this show. And they like it the way it is. And then Pierce's like, no, change everything, make it sexy. And then
Yeah, it really is. Shirley really does they like the way it is, and they just like the two people who are taking the information down just start furiously writing, and then Pierce is like, naked women, or something along those lines, and they like look up at him, and then start furiously writing again.
I don't have a problem with that. Pierce is speaking for the rest of us.
This is true.
What was great about that is it was what was her name? Steffi Graf? No, that's all right. Who was the chick at the end of that episode with Luke Perry?
It was Jenny Garth.
Jenny Garth. I'm pretty sure, yes. and I've never watched the show, and you will not get me to. I'm pretty sure they were dating in 90210.
Yeah, she was Kelly Taylor.
Yeah. I'm never watching that show. I may have grown up in the 90s Switch, but I'm not that 90s.
Oh, well, I mean, it's not for everybody.
Although, speaking of not for everybody, we will be having the OC versus One Tree Hill debate. It's happening.
It's going to happen.
It's going to be amazing, too. It's going to be a lot of borderline racial slurs thrown at one another.
I would like to say that this is not going to be a debate on whether one show is good and one show is bad. It is just going to be about which show is better, because both of us are willing to fight for the other side and point out things that are good about the opposite shows.
And to be fair, I even prefaced it by saying, we're probably both going to agree on which show is better, and it turns out no, we do not.
No, I don't know. I think that's what a debate is for.
If I don't convince you, I'm waging war. My main characters can kick your main character's ass. And if not, they can outsmear them.
Your main characters may be able to kick our main character's ass, but I don't think that they could kick my secondary character's asses.
All right. Well, no, not if you bring Joe Manganiello. That's just not fair.
No, I don't need Joe Manganiello. I got Skills Taylor.
Oh, please.
I've got Dan.
My Ryan can beat... Dan's got a heart condition. I win hands down.
Season 9 Dan.
Oh. When he kills someone to get a new heart? All right, that's not fair.
I have a literal psychopath.
As do I. Actually, he's more suicidal. God damn it.
Hey, you do have you got the blonde guy.
Yeah,
Dickhead.
Yeah, I got Trey. You got he's pretty good at getting shot in the back. I got Volchak. He's pretty good at getting scared by a 5'7" blonde kid.
That was his name, Volchak.
I'm blanking on Marissa's boyfriend's name from season 1. I got him. He's really good at fucking older ladies. I'm gonna win. Plus, I got
you
Minnie
have
Cooper.
some strong characters.
I got Minnie Cooper, and she can manipulate anyone. And if she can't, she can bring the bullet in. And he's got like 16 sons. What's up? You got Jamie, who's 30 and 4'10".
I mean,
what?
I mean, hey, you got me. I'll give you that. But I got Chris Keller.
God damn it. God damn it.
Yeah.
But he's on the lam. He can't help you.
But when he comes back from being on the lam.
Plus, you got my favorite character, the druggy music actress chick.
Oh yeah, I can't fucking remember what
She's
her name
so
is for the
broken.
life of
I
me.
would have ended every relationship I had to fix her.
What's her name? Is it Alex Dupre?
Yes. Oh my god.
What was the
Oh.
name of the what was the name of the other singer girl?
Oh, yes. Oh, her name's Peyton. Fake blonde Peyton. Oh, what was her name? Oh god. It was something Italian.
Oh
Or
damn
maybe
it,
her
I
real name's
can't.
Italian. God damn it.
Why can't
Hang on.
she dates Chase?
Yep.
I remember that.
I'm Googling it. I'm going to find out. She's like an actual singer, and she's from the Cleveland area.
Mia.
Mia Catalano. Bam.
Mia Catalano, who is played by
I just
who is
Googled,
played
and it
Kate
says,
Vogel.
yeah, there it is.
Kate Vogel.
I just Googled, like, who did Peyton discover? And the first thing that pops up is, what episode does Peyton Sawyer die? Bitch,
Yes.
you didn't see it.
But yeah, Kate Vogel, Bay Village, Ohio.
Oh my god, she's so gorgeous.
She's so hot.
I mean, she's not Alex Dupre, but Kate Vogel's also not broken in the show.
Alex Dupre, who of course was played by Janet Kramer.
Who's gonna be in some Hallmark movies that we are definitely gonna be watching.
100%. But yeah, that is something that will be coming your guys' way, so keep an eye out for that. Along with a bunch of other stuff, holiday specials from us here at the Ohio Guys, and then as well as our new podcast, the what do we call it again? The Hallmarks,
Yes.
the Hallmarks podcast, so that we are going to get to eventually. It's just a matter of working out a schedule. I promise you
it's
it is
actually
coming.
just more of a setting a schedule because we both have free time. By the
This
by,
is
if we
true.
don't have Love at First Bark already on the list, it needs to be.
Double checking now. Do. We have so many movies that start with love at. Yes, love at first
Okay.
Bark is on the list.
Because it just needs to be on that list.
Yes, Chad, because it is next to Love at First Glance and Love in Design.
Yes. So terrible. I love it all so very much.
Love. Yep, there it is. It's just going over everything. I almost lost it again because this list is so comprehensive.
All right. Well, we only got 13 episodes, so we're not going to do what we've been doing. We're going to hit them all, and then we'll tell you which one of the 5s we like the most.
Yep.
Which one of the 13 we like. We're going to list you 5 that we like of the 13. There it is.
We'll get through this sentence one day.
Probably not. So, History 101, there's 2 overarching arcs. One is Jeff competing in the, what is it? The Diener Games?
The Diener Games, yes.
No,
Or
it
was
was the
the
Hunger
Hunger
Deans.
Deans.
It was the Hunger Deans.
The Hunger Deans.
And we get some brief cameos of former characters like Annie Wu is back. Right? Was that her name?
Oh
Annie Wu?
yeah.
No, Annie Kim.
Yeah, Annie Kim. Yeah.
No, I was thinking of Kenny Wu from Mighty Ducks because the guy goes, woo, 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 Kenny Wu. All right, whatever. So Annie Kim is back, and she's like, come on, Winger. We're the 2 smartest people or the 2 best looking in this class. And he's like, I don't think so, Kim, and pushes her. And then fucking, what's his name? Leonard starts trying to climb and falls. It's good fun. And basically, with this premises, they all sign up for a History of Ice Cream, but turns out they overbooked, and the way they sign up for classes is easily forgeable, because of course it is. So like a bunch of people then overbooked, so they have to have the Hunger Deans to determine who gets in. So Jeff decides he's going to compete and win 7 balls, so they can all take the credit together because Jeff is graduating early, but the rest of the group doesn't know this. Abed's dealing with the idea of having to leave Greendale and his friends behind at the end of the year, so he has a mental breakdown. All the while, Pierce is trying to help him. which is
No,
odd because it's Pierce.
Pierce is not trying to help him. Pierce is sitting next to him trying to come up with a joke about balls.
How is that not helping?
And Jeff Winger. Where's Troy during all of this?
Troy's with Britta doing the first day of school stuff where they're throwing quarters
That's
or pennies
right.
into the wishing well, and she's like, "I wish for no more wars." And he goes, "You can't say that because now what about Star Wars?"
Yes, and then
Although-
Annie and Shirley are pulling pranks.
Although I will say this, I wish Britta's wish did come true because goddamn, that franchise died. It's not
True.
good. And this is also the episode where Annie reveals that she doesn't want to be a hotel hospitality or whatever the fuck she was going for, and she decides she's going to
Hospital
start
administrator.
whatever, same job, and she wants to do forensic science instead. Also, what was Shirley wanted to do senior pranks, so they bubble wrapped or not bubble wrapped. They put what was that tinfoil around someone's car. The dean's car, I think, is what it was. They just poured popcorn into it. I love that. So the other arc is Abed is repiloting the show in his head, which was a meta commentary on the fact that Dan Harmon wasn't back for season 4, so it was kind of seen as a soft reboot for the franchise. And they end up bringing in Fred Willard to play the new Pierce, and basically the episode goes in his head as the dean says that all of their credits are no longer valid because he was storing them all on a Microsoft Paint, and the software crashed and died, and now the Chinese place that used to be the Best Buy or Circuit City will not honor the return policy. Oh, that was fucking great. So they start going through all these like different little flashbacks, not flashbacks, but like little gimmick ideas, including the Greendale Babies, which is a spin-off of the Muppet Babies, which was just the best part of the entire episode. And then basically Abed's an entire motivational speech from Jeff in his own head. So when Jeff comes back and says like, "Abed, what's wrong?" Abed's like, "Nothing, Jeff. You already fixed it." And Jeff's like, "All right then." So I think this is the worst of the episodes of the season, but it's still by no means a bad episode.
No, not at all.
Plus, it's Annie pulling pranks and just being Annie.
Yeah, this is all true.
There's no bad episode when she's in the show. Just at all. Paranormal parentage. Parentage?
Parentage.
That can't be a word. I know it is. Shut up. So Pierce locks himself in his fucking panic room and needs help getting out. In his mansion, by the way. And before this episode, I always kind of figured it was just like this, just a regular mansion. And now I saw it, and I'm like, yep, this makes sense. And it also explains why Troy was always so weirded out living with him. Because it's a fucking weird house. It's like out of a 1313 Dead End Drive. You ever play that game?
No.
It was like an old board game. But it's basically all this traps and shit just to fuck with people. Oh my god. It's real fucked up. And apparently, like, I think at one point Pierce says that like all these traps that were put in there to start screwing with people were done so that his father can make sure that the staff wasn't stealing. Oh, jeez. Basically, it's the Halloween episode. We have the couple's costume, obviously. Troy decides to take his life partner as Calvin and Hobbes. So, obviously, Abed is Calvin. Well, Troy is Hobbes. And Britta's a walking lamb... what is that? Lamb leg, ham shank? I don't know. She's meat on a bone.
Yeah.
Continuing her practice of wearing costumes that are far too big and cumbersome. So that's always something. Apparently, Shirley and the family are going to go as Star Wars characters because she was dressed up as Princess Leia. Andre was going to be Han Solo, and I think Benjamin Jr. was Chewbacca. I think it was supposed to be adorable, and they even odd, but we didn't get to see it. Jeff is a boxer, and Annie volunteered to go as his ring girl, but she misinterpreted that and came as the girl from the ring. Still sexy. Still don't have a problem with it.
One of my favorite jokes from that episode.
Pretty scary, huh, guys? I want to do my boxing ring girl, Annie. Not that. Well, Jeff, you should have been more specific. By the by, just the will they, won't they of Jeff and Annie is like my favorite part of this series, and I don't know why. I know why. I'm just ashamed to admit it.
It's I take umbrage with the fact that I like their dynamic.
Right.
And I'm ashamed of myself because of my hard stance on this is fucking gross and I shouldn't like this.
She's the only one that can fix him, though, Swish.
No,
I don't
nobody can fix him.
I was just about to say, I don't think anyone can. So they explore the house looking for the key to get into the, or the password. The password, that's what it was. To get into Pierce's ghost shelter, essentially what it was. And it's revealed through the episode that, Pierce was like, I ran down here because I thought I saw a ghost. And everyone's like, that's bullshit. But then then everyone starts getting haunted. People are popping out of the walls. They're seeing, images in mirrors that aren't there. And then it's revealed that Pierce actually wasn't locked in there, that he was screwing around with everyone because they were going to go to Vicky's Halloween party and he wasn't invited because, the whole he stabbed Vicky in the face with a pencil in season 2. Just saying. You want to be invited, don't stab Vicky or don't prompt Vicky stabbing you in the face with a pencil. It's just a thing. Turns out at the end of the episode, though, that it was Gilbert who was running around the house, not scaring people, but scaring Pierce incidentally, because they watch back tape and they see someone watching over Pierce, and it ends up being Gilbert. Gilbert reveals at the end of the episode, I didn't explain it too well, but basically they think there's actually a ghost in the house, and it ends up being Gilbert. And Gilbert's like, no, I just, after serving our dad for so long as a what did he say, as a loyal confidant, I feel like I don't really have a purpose anymore, so I was just trying to take care of things around here. And this was actually a moment that I really thought could have spun into more. Because Pierce was like, you're my brother, just move the fuck in. But then we don't see Gilbert the rest of the season, and I'm like, I wanted an episode where Chevy Chase's character goes to Greendale with Gilbert on a take your brother to school day, and everyone just tell them there's no such day. And then Pierce would be like, yeah, sure there is. I wanted that episode. I know I dreamed it in my head. It's a great fucking concept. And then Gilbert could be like, hello, I'm Gilbert Lawson. I'm the sole heir of Hawthorne Wipes. And then Pierce could be like, that's my brother. And then somebody could say something and Pierce would be like, hey, don't be racist. But we'll never get that now, and I'm so sad. Although headcanon
really does suck.
Yes. Headcanon, I don't believe Pierce is dead. I believe he faked his death. Because we see it in season 4.
Yeah, that is absolutely probably true.
Right?
But yeah, it really does suck, man, because their relationship was really starting to bloom there, and they really could have gone somewhere with it, and then we just never get to see him ever again.
It's disappointing.
So,
all right.
It is what it is, I guess.
Conventions of Space and Time. The study group goes to a Doctor Who spinoff called Inspector Spacetime, which is, obviously Abed's favorite show. It's called Inspecticon. Britta tags along, and it's revealed that Abed has invited a friend from England, Toby, and Toby wants to replace Troy. And it doesn't go well, to the point where Toby locks Troy in a, what was it, it wasn't a phone
It's a phone booth.
Is it a phone booth?
Yeah, it's like a big red phone booth.
So he locks him away, and Abed deduces real fast, you locked Troy in there. He's like, no, and he just stares at him and goes, yeah, I did. And then he lets him out, and pretty much that's the entire arc. It's not great. It's my least favorite arc of the entire fucking season, I think. It's not good. The other stuff is fantastic, though.
No, the rest of the episode is great. That is the weakest part of it. I mean, and I also it's an episode that kind of also stresses the relationship between Britta and Troy, because Britta is obviously the tag along here, and Troy ends up being the third wheel. Britta's the third wheel to Abed and Troy, and then Troy ends up being the third wheel to Toby and Abed. And instead of just spending time with Britta, he has to do everything he can to get Abed back. So it's very there. Those three characters just get wrapped up in a bunch of nonsense that really doesn't make this episode great. But the dynamic between the dynamic between Jeff and Annie is great because Annie, Jeff leaves. He goes with them initially, and then he leaves, or says he's going to leave. And so he's like, "My name is on the room. Enjoy, whatever." So Annie goes up to the room and creates this elaborate fantasy about her being Mrs. Winger and being married to Jeff, and this whole huge relationship that they have together. Meanwhile, Jeff is down in the lobby talking to this Inspector Spacetime fan who's played by Trisha Helfer because she thinks that he is Thraxus because they look eerily similar. And one of the hotel staffers comes up to the room or calls the room and says that Mrs. Winger, we think that your husband might. I have something that I need to show you about your husband because you said that he left for the weekend or something like that. She goes down and catches Jeff flirting with the Inspector Spacetime fan and creates this whole drama. Like, how could you? And throws a drink in his face. Or doesn't she? Or she has the waiter come around with 2 glasses of champagne or something like that. She takes them off the thing. She throws one in his face. They talk a little bit more. She takes the other one and throws that one in his face too.
It's a great little moment. And then, of course, we already mentioned the Chevy Chase, the Pierce and Shirley bit where they're doing the Inspector Spacetime focus group. I think one of the things about the Troy, Abed, Britta stuff is it highlights how poorly paired they are, being Troy and Britta. But I think that was intentional to explore what that relationship would look like from the beginning, middle, and end. And there were issues between them, from the start. And to Britta's credit, she was very much trying to be that good girlfriend, but ultimately she wasn't being herself, and it showed in the relationship. So I think this episode was key in kind of showcasing what Britta is willing to be in her own life and what this relationship will end up becoming, which is unsustainable. Britta's very much someone who wants to do all she can for people, and that was highlighted in this relationship. And it's also kind of one of my biggest gripes about the show is what they did to her as a character.
Yeah. No, 100% agreed. She went from being someone who actually had ideologies about the world and a position to just being a caricature of herself and being this caricature of all these different stereotypes of like a feminist and vegetarians and, an activist and everything like this. Instead of actually making her smart and passionate about these things, they just kind of made her like she's not really like she's a faux activist. She doesn't believe in any of her causes. She doesn't believe herself, and she just kind of becomes the shell of what the character could have been. Mm-hmm. She really does become the patsy for most of the show. Of like, okay, well, instead of them just shitting on Pierce all the time, they can just shit on Britta. So.
And they do kind of set that up in season 1 to a bit with the whole Bagels thing. But still, like, that was when it was like an intentional mistake. It wasn't like, a running gag of, oh, Britta's the worst. Like, it became the gag. And to make the gag work, they made her more and more outlandish in her behavior. And I didn't think that was necessary. Especially not with Britta and the actress that played her, whose name is escaping me, and I don't know why. I feel so bad. Gillian Jacobs.
Yes.
Gillian. It's actually pronounced Gillian. I do not know why they named her that.
I don't care.
I love her. You will not besmirch her. She's a teetotaler. Did you know that?
I have decided that I don't care.
Why do you not like the teetotaling?
Oh, that has nothing to do with it. It's just I'm just getting under your skin at this point.
You're a bastard. Why do you do things to me?
German invasion?
Alternate history of the German invasion it is.
So they, instead of getting into history of ice cream, the study group actually gets into European history. They have to share the class with the obnoxious German students that Jeff and Shirley battled in foosball last year. this whole thing is just like them trying to force the Germans out, and then the Germans end up making them look like the bad guys and trying to stop them at every pass and end up turning the school against them, which again is just, man, they just really love hitting that same cliche arc of, oh, the study group is your main, this is your main core cast of characters, right? Okay, we're gonna make everybody else hate them. It's like, come on, man. Like, these characters have to be likable in some sense, otherwise you don't have a good show. So like, why is it at any singular pass that they get, they're like, every student at Greendale goes, oh, that study group, they fucking suck.
And yes, I agree with that. But in the vacuum of this specific episode and excluding season 3 as a whole, I love this episode because
Yes.
they do a lot of callbacks to previous episodes, but from the vantage point of the other students, like Garrett and Todd. Like the one
Yeah.
episode where Garrett's like, I signed out this study room. I have a test in 2 hours I need to study for. What are they even doing? And Todd's like, one of them lost a pen. And like,
One of them lost the pin, yeah.
that's fucking stupid. But it actually, it ended up being a great episode because they end up fixing up all the other study rooms that are just terrible. But the best joke, the two of them, and both involves Hogan Heroes, and Jeff had the line for the first one. He's like, before the concept of Too Soon existed, there was a bunch of plucky guys that were trying to outsmart some bumbling Nazis. And if we know anything about television, it's that Germans always lose. But then later on, they're like, this is a ruse, because like they're trying to set the Germans up. I can't do a German accent. Don't make fun of me. So they're trying to set the Germans up, and the Germans like, hey, this is a ruse. Like that old TV show, Hogan's Villains. I'm just like, what?
It's so, yeah, it's such a good joke. It's such a dumb, easy joke to make, but it is a really good joke.
So yeah, they and there's even we forgot about one of the biggest guest stars. What's his face? The British dude. He was in Star Trek Generations. Malcolm McDowell.
Oh, yeah, no, I know nothing about Star Trek, so it really doesn't strike for me.
Well, Malcolm McDowell's been in a bunch of things. He's a pretty big name.
Oh, yeah, Professor Cornwallis,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
he was great in this episode too. I think it was also the first episode that he introduced to. So they're like,
Dr. Loomis. He was
yes.
Dr. Loomis in the
the
Halloween remakes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they do this great little gag where he's like, on your first test is coming up, and there's a written portion and no dioramas, and they all just go ah, even though they hate dioramas. I was like, all right, I guess we're switching gears now. But the best part was like at the end, right before the end, not Loomis, goddamn, see what you did. Cornwallis walks up and he's like, you guys know what today is? And they're like, oh, you're trying to teach us a lesson about looking at history from the other side and making us think that we're the Nazis. But we're not the Nazis. And he's like, what the hell are you talking? Y'all missed your fucking tests. And they're like, oh, like, I guess we got to pay attention more. The other great gag, Shirley Sandwiches has an SS patch on her shirt
Yeah.
for her sandwich shop. And she walks in and they're like, look at them. They're the Nazis. And she's like, I can't be a Nazi. And I think it was Todd goes, you're wearing an SS shirt. And she grabs her sleeve and looks and she's, oh my gosh. Like the little fucking jabs they did in this episode were great. Like this episode needs to be truly appreciated for what it is. And I don't miss Nick Kroll, I think that's his name, who played the lead German in season 3. I liked the other German guy they brought in, or Maplodopoulos or Dildopoulos, whatever his name is. Andy, when did they open up a second Dildopoulos? I liked him because he's a little bit more likable. I find Nick Kroll to be just awful at everything, and I want him to get smashed in the face with a sledgehammer every time he talks. I didn't like him in anything he's ever been in, especially the League. You ever see the League?
I've been told to watch the League, but
Don't.
I've never
It's
seen
awful. It is truly the worst thing I've ever seen. It is just a bunch of people being awful for the sake of being awful, and then pretending that it's about a fucking trophy, and like there's no likable main character. It's the worst fucking show. It's just the fucking worst. Cooperative escapism in familial relations. Jeff goes to his dad's house for Thanksgiving. It's not very
Yeah.
good. The
True.
second part of the episode is amazing, where Abed, Annie, and Troy go to Shirley's house, and it becomes a Shawshank Redemption story.
Yes, it does
And
become.
that's the best thing ever because at the end, so I think Troy comes up with the idea of like digging out of the garage that they're kind of hanging out in, and at
Yes.
the end of the fucking episode, Shirley pulls down a fucking poster and sees
Poster.
a hole in the garage.
It's so good. It's so funny.
So it's pretty much it. Adam Devine's in it and Brolin is in it. They're all right. Devine is like 30 and he's like a just the worst person ever in terms of like his confidence, in which he has none. And he's just like lamenting over Jeff's coolness. It's really weird, and I think they did this episode a disservice. Truly do. Could have been a lot better.
Yeah.
Although Britta going was a nice twist.
Yeah.
Uh,
So, advanced documentary filmmaking. Another documentary episode.
which makes
so-
3.
Yeah, they are.
4.
Abed is filming a documentary. It's 4, right?
Yeah, because there's the Blankets War, which technically is a documentary. Blanket and
Yep.
Fort Pillow War. There's the Pierce is dying episode. There's
Yeah.
the
The Jesus episode.
oh, there might be 5. So there's the Jesus episode. There's the Dean makes a commercial episode.
Oh yeah, that's 5.
I'm pretty sure there's a 6th. I guess you can count 6 because Abed makes his family movie,
Oh yeah.
and I think there's a 7th. I really do, because there's a one where they do for the wedding, right? Not Shirley's, but doesn't Abed rent a camera crew for a wedding? Maybe. We're gonna stick with 6.
I don't know.
There's 6
Yeah,
documentary episodes. Holy fuck.
So they're filming a documentary on Chang's Changnesia because Greendale wants to secure the $40,000 grant from the MacGuffin. I love that it's
Great
called
name.
the MacGuffin.
Great
The
name.
MacGuffin Neurological Institute. Jeff plays along with it because he's going to try and find evidence that Chang is faking. Annie and Troy team up to figure out what Chang had been doing all this time. They have a whole big presentation for the Institute. Jeff shows footage of Chang calling and hanging up a number, which turns out to belong to Chang's wife, Alessandra. Chang no-sells it, still sticks to his guns. Jeff kisses Alessandra to get a reaction from Chang. He doesn't do anything. And then at the end of it, the Institute ends up giving them the grant money because they said, well, if there's going to be such resistance to this disease known as Changnesia, you're going to need all the help you can get. The study group exiles Jeff at his dishonesty, but then quickly brings him back into the group.
Yeah, it had
So-
something to do with like, if Chang can change, then maybe Jeff can, or something. It was dumb.
Yeah.
But the best part was Jeff kind of he accepts that Chang is lying, but he gives him the benefit of the doubt as to the why, and he kind of says to Chang, like, if I had done all the things you did, I would want to pretend that I was someone else too. So I get it. And I think he says it to the camera, not so much to Chang, but still, like, that was the general idea. And I think that was like a really kind of great little moment.
Oh, for sure.
So Alessandra Chang was played by Andrea de Oliveira. I want to see if she played Alessandra in the first season. Let's find out. Yeah, they brought her back. I didn't even realize that. Huh. Look at that. Good for them. Good for them. Good for the boys. No love for the Carla?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
What?
No love for the Carla? Good for the boys?
Oh,
Oh,
Sorry.
a double wedding. No. Oh. Good for the boys.
good for the boys. Economics of marine biology. I didn't really care for this episode.
Yeah, it kind of.
I mean, I don't. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, kind of ended the way you expected it. Basically, the dean is selling out everything to get this kid who is a whale, quote unquote, a big spender, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Listen, you think this isn't what we do? Why do you think Pierce is still here? This dude's been here for 10 years and has taken every class at least 3 times." So Dean is trying to get his next big whale, which is this annoying kid who made a lot of money off of like a lawsuit. So at first, like, no one wants to help him. But then they're like, it's good for the school, and I think Annie was the one who had like the most incentive to help, I guess. But Britta didn't want to partake because she thought it was dishonest. And as the episode goes on, Annie starts to become more disenfranchised with the mission. And then eventually, the dean kind of stops trying to, get the kid to join and tells him, like, that you should be here because it's a good school. And that's it. And he kind of like berates him for being a child still. And the kid's like, listen, like, no one's ever talked to me that way before because my parents are loaded or some bullshit like that. And he's like, yeah, I really respect you. So, like, I'll come here anyway. And they're like, yeah. The best part of the episode was the fact that Troy and Shirley were in a PE class, a physical education class.
Yeah, physical education.
Oh my God. I fucking love this part so goddamn much. And the Jeff Pierce go to a barbershop in Bond episode? Or
Very,
not episode, but
very
arc.
good.
Oh, so good. This is
Very
like,
good.
we should call this season 2/3 season. Because 2/3 of every episode is really good. And then a third of it just sucks.
And Abed starts the new fraternity, the Delta Cubes.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You'll never bring up the Delta Cubes. Delta Cubes, Delta Cubes.
It literally
Delta
is
Cubes.
like, I love it because he's like, we need all the things that a normal college has. Somebody start a fraternity. And then Abed, he's like, no fraternities. We're not doing the fraternity thing. And as soon as he says that, Abed goes, Delta Cubes.
Which is ironic because they had a fraternity. We found out in, what is it, season 2? Because Troy and Abed rush. And there's a whole pickle thing, I think. So they clearly already, or maybe they got rid of them in between seasons, or maybe the acknowledgement was that Jeff knew that Abed would start a fraternity. So he tried to chop it off at the knees, but it didn't work. But the Jeff and Pierce part I thought was really good because it kind of showed how similar they are. And I think that's part of the reason why I think Jeff is always bothered by Pierce because there's so much similarities in their behavior. They always want to be the center of attention. They're always the one who thinks that they know best. So it was a nice little moment. Plus, there was a nice little bonding thing. And I think this was also the episode where Pierce told Jeff that Britta looks up to him and respects him, and she helped you with your dad, so just cut her a break. And Jeff is like, yeah, you're right, and I really should. So it was really nice. It was a really fine episode. Just the premise of it wasn't great, but it did give the Dean and Annie a lot of screen time. So,
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. The part I just mentioned about Pierce giving Jeff shit about Britta was History of Dance, the next episode.
History of Dance. Yeah.
So, goddamn it, they actually did it. History of Dance.
Yeah. So this one is very, very simple. To distract Greendale from the fact that their drinking fountains are being removed by the CDC, the Dean plans a Sadie Hawkins dance. Britta thinks that this is completely misogynistic, so she organizes a Sophie B. Hawkins dance in protest, confusing her with Susan B. Anthony, and everybody calls her out for it. And Jeff is like, if you call it a Sophie B. Hawkins dance, the actual Sophie B. Hawkins has to be there, right? And she goes, yeah, I know that, and that's why I'm going to get her. And the entire time she's trying to set this thing up, Jeff is just absolutely fucking berating her at every pass.
But made worse by the Dean telling her there's a lot of people in this school whose life peaked in the 90s. So Sophie B. Hawkins is still the newest music they've ever heard. So this is a very big deal for us.
Yes. Abed, meanwhile, is going to both dances, and he wants a date. And Annie and Shirley set up a date with him for 2 different girls at the separate dances.
Unbeknownst to one another.
Yes, unbeknownst to one another. So Abed is doing the stereotypical 2 dates on one night cliche from TV shows and stuff like that. But he is immediately found out by the Coke girl, the coat check girl, who's played by Brie Larson, Rachel, and she is assisting him, and they end up having a better time than Abed has with his two dates, and they kind of have this whole cliche one night, like, oh, they fall in love in the span of one night type thing. So yeah,
I love this episode, especially the part where she's like,
very
"Yeah,
good.
the two dates on the 2 dates on one night thing is my favorite trope. Besides the whole dog knows he did something wrong bit." And she does the and she puts her arm over her face like a dog, and I'm just like, Brie, why did he have to
Yeah.
become so insufferable? The best part was, I really didn't like either girl for Abed, and I'm like sitting here going, "Yeah, Abed, don't pick either one because one of them is clearly my type." You'll never guess which one. And I'm never going to tell you.
Shirley.
God damn it.
I know it's not gonna be Annie's pick.
And not unless Annie's pick is Annie.
Yeah, no. So at the end of the Sophie B. Hawkins dance, Sophie B. Hawkins does end up showing up, and she sings her like big hit songs, and
Her
Jeff
two
ends up
big
her
hit
two
songs.
big hit songs. Jeff ends up giving Britta credit where credit's due and lets her actually win something for once.
And Pierce
So-
Pierce was the driving force in that. He's like, she wouldn't try so hard, and make a fool of herself if you weren't constantly belittling her. And he said something to the effect like,
Yeah.
she helped you reconnect with your dad. Stop being such a jerk. And walked away, and just Jeff got fucking Pierce checked, man.
Yeah.
Really good episode. And the best part was at the end, who was it, Troy and Abed were sitting down with Sophie B. Hawkins at the end of the episode, and she just kept singing like different lines, like "Damn, I wish Abed had some ice cream."
Yeah.
It's just fucking dumb. And then of course,
Very
the
dumb.
dean gets involved, and
The dean shoos them away and then forces Sophie B. Hawkins to sing for him.
oh, it's just the best. It's just the best. Intro into
So-
felt surrogacy.
Intro to Felt Surrogacy. This is their yearly episode, the one per season where it's like an animated or some sort, except this one is done with puppets.
What was the season
So-
one version? Did they do one for season one? Because season 2 was Abed's Christmas. Season 3 was the video game. Season 5 was G.I. Jeff.
was G.I. Jeff, yes.
I don't remember season 6. I don't think season 6 had one. Nor do I think season 1 had one.
Let me see here. Let me go back to season 1. Do.
I don't think season 1 had one.
No, I don't think so. I think they just had the stereotypical Christmas
Well, the Christmas episode was the fight.
musical. It was a musical.
No,
one.
season 1 was the fight.
Yeah, comparative religion. Isn't there like a lot of singing in that episode?
No, that's the one where they fight. Anthony Michael Hall shows up and starts bullying Abed, and the entire episode revolves around them getting Jeff ready to fight him. And then he eventually, and it was during Shirley's Christmas party that was on like December 12th. No,
Yeah.
the singing episode was season 3 for the Christmas one. That's the one where the dean reveals, not the dean, the music teacher reveals that he killed the former Glee Club.
Yeah, I remember that. I just thought there was more singing in that episode than I thought.
No, not that one. And then season 6, I guess, technically had one because the dean got his virtual reality machine.
Oh yeah, the virtual reality machine. Yeah.
I love that episode.
No, I guess so. Season 1 is the only one that didn't have one.
No. So intro
But-
into felt
Yep.
surrogacy. Two things I loved about this. One, Sarah Bareilles or whatever.
Borelli's.
Whatever. I love her, and she will soon have my last name, so it don't matter. And like her little parts, like I love her. Sincerely, without any kind of exaggeration. I do love her singing voice, and I thought the greatest injustice of this episode was only giving her like 2 lines or 3 lines of dialogue to sing. I was like,
Yeah.
what? That's like having Peyton Manning as your quarterbacks, like to come in and teach your quarterbacks, and all you ask them to do is get the team Gatorade. Like, what? You got Peyton Manning. Use him. So that was like my only gripe about it. But I love this because, one, they have 2 different sets of puppets. Did you realize that?
No, I don't think I did realize that.
So Dean comes in with his hand puppets, and by the by, Troy's just like Troy's involvement with his puppet throughout the episode is the best. Just like constantly looking at each other. And then they had
Dean's hand puppets, and then
Yes.
the actual like Muppet style.
Yes. It took me halfway through the second time I watched this to realize they were different puppets. I was like, wait, what? Wait, they're different?
I realized that the Dean's puppets are way shittier than the puppets that they actually used for the episode.
By the by, I love that Jeff's puppet had a whip.
I love the Jeff's puppet had a whip, and the Jeff puppet thing at the end with the Dean is so fucking funny. So yeah, they have this traumatic air balloon ride that they're stuck in an awkward silence back at school. Most of this is told in the past tense. Puppet therapy, and they all end up admitting a terrible secret after they go over what happened to them out in the woods. Shirley admits that her terrible secret, that her paranoia over Andre's fidelity put her kids in danger, and the rest of the group ends up telling their own psychedelically induced shameful disclosures that Jeff broke up with a terrific woman because she had a kid, Troy accidentally started a major forest fire, Annie let Professor Cornwallis rub her feet in order to get a better grade, Britta has never actually voted for anything but The Voice, and Pierce only made out once with Eartha Kitt and never slept with her. And Abed has no secrets beyond his earlier puppet-rendered comment that his father is withholding.
So the reason why everyone was so meh was they all thought they heard one another's secrets, but it ended up being not the case. They were too stoned because Jason Alexander gave them psychedelic mushrooms or something. And
yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it.
Well, it ends up that Shirley ends up revealing hers accidentally before everyone else does, and they all agreed to absolve Shirley of her shame by revealing all theirs now at sober. And it was a really great bonding moment. But the music in this was actually really, really good. And I love music. I don't like a lot of musicals though, because especially in like random shows. Like, I don't like the Psych musical. I love Psych. Their musical sucks. I hate it. Although Gus doing the Jamaican Inspector Man, I'll rep that all the time. But so usually these kinds of shows, in my opinion, don't do well with musical episodes. This is like the rare, example that proves the rule. So I really love this episode. It's a really good episode. And I'm not entirely sure that Chevy Chase did the voice of his own puppet. I know it says he did, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was like another voice actor, because they don't give him a lot of lines.
He really doesn't say much.
And most of what he says is singing. So like, I don't know if it was technically Chevy Chase, but I could be wrong. This is a conspiracy theory, not backed in fact. All right, so then we get our obligatory Christmas party episode. It's Intro to Nuts. The gang ties up Cornwallis. Technically, Kevin does, a.k.a. Ben Chang.
Yeah.
And basically, it's just a game of chicken at this point. Like, who's going to crack first? Who's going to... And it really just amounts to Cornwallis was lonely, and he came over anyway, and he was never actually tied because Ben can't tie knots. So he just starts fucking with the group. Pretty simple episode.
They were holding Cornwallis hostage for a better grade on their project. And at the end of it, he ends up giving them a C+.
Which is, good stuff. And I love that I love that Jeff reveals, like, oh yeah, I didn't do mine. I just copied and pasted the lyrics to War, What Is It Good For?
That's right, yeah. Basic human anatomy. Annie and Shirley are fighting with each other over the valedictorian race.
This is the Freaky Friday episode.
But then they're united in disgust that Leonard is actually the current number 1 in the class. But they end up finding out that he has been taking... he's only taken 1 letter grade class since 1968. Which is so fucking ridiculous.
That's a man after my own heart.
Absolutely. Troy and Abed go Freaky Friday. They act like they've really switched bodies, but Abed is pretending that happened in order to support Troy, who's trying to avoid dealing with his relationship with Britta that is kind of falling apart because they both forgot their 1 year anniversary. But they end up having this whole scene at what is the name of that restaurant? It's like Senor something. They go to the Mexican restaurant
Yeah, the only one
in the show. With the guy who owns it hates Die Hard.
And Abed loves it.
Yeah, and
In fact, it
Abed
was
loves
brought
Die
up
Hard.
the episode prior.
Yes. Yeah, because Abed did a whole fucking Die Hard thing after they tied up Cornwallis.
It's a thing.
Yes. So they have a lot of discussion and basically speaking through Abed, Britta and Troy are able to come to the conclusion of some painful truths that they need to stand up for what's right, and they need to kind of fix what is going on between them, and they're better off being friends instead of dating. So.
And this relationship gets a lot of trash from the fan base saying that it was bad, but I always kind of go into this season with the idea that it's supposed to be. Sometimes you fall for the idea of a person instead of the person. And going through that, you end up realizing that while you still care about the person and still like them, they're just not what you need. And
Right.
that was the whole purpose of this relationship. Hell, that's of any relationship on this show. From Jeff and Britta to Jeff and Annie to Annie and what was his name? Pottery guy. What the hell is
Pottery guy.
Pottery guy. The doctor.
The doctor, yeah. I don't remember what
I
his
can't
name
remember
was.
his name is. But like, you know, Annie liked him, but the doctor only liked Annie as a friend. And then obviously there's the Annie and Vaughn and Britta. Fucking, we even find out about Shirley and Andre.
Yep.
I think that's next season though. No, that might be the end of this season. When the hell does Andre and Shirley break up for good?
I don't remember.
Did Shirley come back for season 5? I don't think she did.
Yeah. I think she was in
She had a cameo episode in season 5.
she was in one episode, I believe.
So the revelation of Andre and Shirley had to be in season 4 then. Right?
I think so. Let me just double check and make sure Shirley wasn't in season 5.
No, it says starring Shirley Brown.
No, she was okay. She was in season 5. I guess I just don't remember her being there that much.
Yep. So okay. So recurring Yvette Nicole Brown season 6. So it must have been the season 5 premiere where she reveals it because they're all coming back to Greendale and they're like, why would you want to all come back and have a lawsuit? And I think that's where Shirley goes. You know, this time he really left. So
Yeah.
season 5 is really fucking good though. But we'll get there when we get there. So as for season 4, what episode are we on? We're on episode 12 now.
Yes. We're almost there.
Almost there. Heroic Origins. We find out about the casting backstories. So basically, Britta was an anarchist who led an all-female group that supported strippers' rights to, I guess, get drunk and drive on the highway. I don't remember what the stripper was getting arrested for, but Jeff got her off in probably more than one way. Troy was at school with Annie, and she basically was the reason why Troy didn't go to college.
Yeah. Annie had a crush on Troy, but he pretended like he didn't notice. He realized that he actually did notice, and that what she said to him made Troy fake his injury so that he didn't have to go with the pressures of being recruited for college football.
Well, no, he doesn't. He didn't know that she had a crush. He did remember her from school, which was the point of emphasis. Because he wins all these I forget what they call them, but they're the year-end senior awards, superlatives.
Yeah. Most likely to succeed.
Right, senior
and all that
superlatives,
shit.
I think is what they're called. And Troy wins them all, and she freaks out, and she's like, you know, you're just a dumb football player, and like you peaked, and like she went hard, and then she went straight through a fucking sliding glass window.
That's my favorite thing. She just runs full force through a sliding glass window.
And like
so good.
his trauma is very sincere and like yeah, that fucked him up. But
Do
the
you
way
remember what? Do you remember what her running through that glass door also inspired?
yes, it inspired Magnitude's pop pop because when she went through, I don't know how, but 2 balloons went pop pop next to Magnitude, and he just went pop pop.
She shatters this full glass window that 2 shards of glass go through, pop 2 balloons, and he just goes pop pop. It's so stupid.
But it's the best. So in this episode, Troy basically surmises his pain, like, you made me feel things I didn't want to feel. And it kind of undercuts the severity of it all, but it's still genuine. And like right after like she says it, he does the keg stand and he falls and he's like, my leg, my leg. Can I get some of that dip? Ah.
I get some of that. My leg.
It's so fucking good. And then he responds with, I had to have 6 reconstructive surgeries after going through that window. So we find out that Jeff was the lawyer to the stripper that Britta was supporting earlier in the episode. It also turns out that the stripper that Jeff is getting off also was the one that hooked up with Andre that broke up Shirley's marriage.
Yep.
Shirley's marriage only broke up because Shirley left a date that Andre was at with Shirley because her 2 oldest sons, I guess only sons at the time because the third one hadn't been born or conceived yet, had an encounter with Abed outside of a re-airing of The Phantom Menace in 2008, I think is when they said this episode occurred. So Abed ends up being the reason why Shirley had to get called away from her date, which allowed Andre to cheat. That's not great. They all decide that, we're all just terrible people. Jeff is the reason why, Shirley's husband cheated and Abed helped and Troy and Annie hate each other and Britta realizes she's a failure. So it's all big calamity. But then they go to this fucking frozen yogurt shop and they realize that they all were at the same place on the same day and all got the same flyer for Greendale. And Ben Chang was basically the reason why all of them went to school because of Chang. I thought that was great because like he hands out all the flyers that they all use. I was like, oh, that's actually a nice little note. But
my favorite thing about that whole thing is that everybody, like, it just so happens that they all end up at this frozen yogurt place, but my favorite is that Pierce is just there and he breaks the frozen yogurt machine and pretends to fake a heart attack while frozen yogurt is just pouring out all over him.
The frozen yogurt lady just walks over and pushes the nozzle off.
Pushes the nozzle off.
So there was a reoccurring joke in this. Did you catch it? I'll give you who it involved, and I want to see if you can figure it out. It involved the dean.
No, I don't remember.
Shirley tries to return her negligee or nightie or whatever it is, and when they can't, she throws out and says, "Now I'm out $53 and a divorce."
Oh, yes.
And throws it on the ground, and the dean picks it up and goes, I hope this doesn't awaken anything inside of me."
Yeah, that's right. I hope this doesn't awaken anything inside of me. Oh, the dean is such a good character.
Jim Rash is amazing. He's one of the best parts of The Way Back, too.
Oh, yeah.
My doctor said I'm not supposed to get water in my ear.
I forgot that Jim Rash was in The Way Back. Oh, dude. Jim Rash is so good. But yeah, basically you're right. It shows that Chang was the reason that all of them ended up at Greendale, and that they say that Chang deserves to be one of them. So instead of trying to destroy Greendale,
hang on, we should really explain that part because we have not been given that angle much love. Chang has been sent back to Greendale by City College
to destroy it from the inside,
and he's going to do it by taking away the rental check that Greendale pays to the tribal Americans who own the land, and by doing so, they'll revert the ownership of the land back to the tribe and then build a casino on top of it. But when Abed tells Chang that he's the reason why they're all there and that he should join the group, Chang changes his mind. He's like, "Can you take me to the post office? I have something I need to mail for the dean." And it's a real nice little nugget of kind of, coming back full circle with
Yeah.
the character.
Yep. And then he calls Dean Spreck and tells him that the deal is off and that he's out. And then it cuts to Dean Spreck, who says he'll just have to switch to Plan B, and he's laughing maniacally while he's looking at the blueprint of a giant robot spider.
I don't think we get Dean Spreck ever again.
I don't believe Dean Spreck actually comes back. I think this is just like, oh yeah, Dean Spreck actually is crazy. Oh well.
Hooch is crazy.
Hooch is crazy.
Can we just get a movie called The Revenge of the Ass Crack Bandit, where we finally find out who the Ass Crack Bandit is, and Dean Spreck's one of the people, and they theorize that Dean Spreck did the entire Ass Crack Bandit to try to make the school seem unsafe, and then Jeff could be like, "Why didn't you just burn it down?" And Spreck goes, "Because did not think of that."
That's a very that joke that you just did is like a very you and me joke that we love in sitcoms, where it's like, because I had not thought of that.
So I can't
that
stand
line is like a me and you classic.
I can't stand How I Met Your Mother anymore. Season 9 killed the show. It's poison to me. The best joke, I think, came in season 4 during the wedding season with Lily and Marshall, where Marshall shaves off a strip of his hair.
Oh yeah.
And Marshall goes, and later on in the episode, when they're trying to figure out a way to cover up the hair, the line of dialogue goes something to the effect like, "I'm not saying it's a bad idea, Barney. I'm just saying, where would we get a Native American headdress?" And then Lily puts on a hat over his bald spot, and Marshall turns to the group and goes, "Hat. We thought of Native American headdress before we thought of hat."
Before we thought of hat.
I just thought that's my favorite fucking joke in that whole
very
show.
Good. It's very, very funny.
Okay, season finale, advanced introduction to finality. Jeff is graduating, and they're treating it like a wedding, and to the point where like Dean is making doilies or like confetti or decorations, and he's doing like the whole da 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 like as he's doing it.
Yeah.
So creepy. Basically, Annie's treating this whole thing like a wedding too, because she's like, Jeff, you can't see the wedding, or you can't see the graduation before the graduation. What are you doing? It turns out, though, this is a great episode because they bring back the evil doppelgang, and I think they were introduced at the end of Heroic Origins, or maybe even a couple of episodes prior, because they reveal that evil Annie is getting excused from being arrested or for being for being unstable, psychiatrically speaking, under the grounds that she's too hot to be crazy.
Yes.
Fair enough. So the evil gang then comes to the good world because Jeff is having issues with moving on from Greendale. He's going to miss his friends, and he doesn't want to become the person that he was before he got there. So they're coming to Greendale's Prime Universe, I guess, to convince Jeff to take to take a job with his old partner, who's actually Cash of Tango and Cash, because the whole gimmick with Rob Corddry's character was that they were somebody else's partner in their old law firm days. Tango, what was it? It was Tango and Sundance, I think.
Yeah, Sundance.
So his buddy's back, and he's like, come work for me. You're the best lawyer ever. We'll make money. And Jeff's torn between this. So the episode is about him.
It wasn't him. It was a different guy.
No, I thought I was clear about that. You're right. You're exactly right. It was the dude from what was the I Love You Man with the Jason Segel and Paul Rudd. He was the high pitched voice dude.
Yeah.
Give me one more rep. Give me one more rep.
He was in a lot of things.
Right.
Lonnie, wasn't that his name in I Love You Man? Lonnie.
I think so. Yeah. What I was saying poorly was this was actually Jeff's partner. He was the Tango and Cash to Jeff's Tango and Cash, not Rob Corddry's character, who was Sundance. Because when they saw each other, he's like Tango, Sundance, and then Jeff turns to Abed and goes, "We had different partners," and Abed nods knowingly. So this was actually Jeff's partner, is what I meant to say. And he's in a bunch of shit. Like he was in role models. He's in a bunch of
Yeah.
TV shows. Oh, he's in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He's
Yes.
he's Andy Samberg's best friend in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That's where people would know him from. So anyway, so the evil study group tries to convince Jeff to go evil, but he won't. So they decide to put him in the other universe where he ends up meeting evil Abed, who's gone good now, and his beard is gray. All right. And good Abed of the evil world decides to send Jeff back with universe-changing paintballs and paintball guns, and I thought that was adorable. But the best part was in the episode, we established that Evil Annie and Evil Jeff are hooking up. And when Evil Annie meets Good Annie, it's in the middle of their paintball war. And Annie's like, hey, Good Annie, you should go to let us send you back to our world because in the evil world, we're hooking up with Jeff. And it's amazing. And Annie's like, really? Like, it's that good? And then Good Annie shoots Evil Annie and has the line in the century, no one gets to sleep with Jeff. Not even me.
Not even me.
And I love that, and Evil Troy and Good Troy, when they square off, Troy's like, Evil Troy's like, I've been counting paintballs. One of us is out. And Good Troy goes, is it you? And Evil Troy goes, yes. And Good Troy goes, why would you tell me that?
Why would you tell me that?
Evil Troy goes, to sound intimidating. And then Good Troy just sends it back. So they have their little paintball war, and there's a great moment where Abed goes, Jeff, don't take this away from us. We finally found a way to make paintball cool. But it's revealed that Jeff actually isn't playing paintball with Evil Jeff. It's a minor hallucination because earlier in the episode, Troy is kind of getting, the short end of the stick because he forgot to bring the pop. They said soda. We don't fuck with that here. It's pop. So
Yep.
Jeff, Annie's like, Troy forgot to bring the pop. So, Jeff's like, well, I'll bring a die and we'll roll to see who brings the pop for the graduation. So he shows up with the die and he goes to roll it, but then he stops himself and he looks at the die because he knows that if he rolls the die, some kind of chaos would ensue. And he stops himself and goes, you know what? I'll bring the pop. He again says soda, but again, fuck soda. It's pop. So Jeff essentially not redeems, but he comes full circle by taking responsibility for a soft drink. But in a larger way, it's also him taking responsibility of who he used to be and who he's going to be going forward. And it's a nice little moment that I think made this season so good because in season 3, we got the whole Jeff is going to roll the die because he's always looking to avoid responsibility. But this time he's not going to roll the die because he's going to take responsibility. And it's a nice little send-off to the season. Because this may have been, in the eyes of a lot of people working on the show, the end of the series. So they wanted to give it a nice little kind of send-off. And I think it worked. I really do think it worked. Also,
For sure.
I need to say, I really wish we would have gotten the second half of the season because they took Introduction to Astronomy, I think. And I really wanted to see how that would have went. It couldn't have been any worse than Advance Holding Your Breath.
True.
So any thoughts of Advanced Introduction to Finality that caught your mind?
I mean, I think you summed it up really well. It was really good. I think, all in all, Advanced Introduction to Finality is like one of those episodes that shows how good this show could have. Like, this show could have gone down as one of the greatest sitcoms of all time if the writing had just stayed consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Which, not every show can have perfect seasons. And not every episode of every show is going to be great, but like, if the writing was as consistent and as well thought out as this episode was, I think this show would be by far one of the best sitcoms of all time.
I personally think it is, but I do agree that it is not the most widely talked about outside of its more core fan base. There's a lot of people who have never seen this show, and that's kind of truly depressing. Because it's a really good show.
Right.
And it probably got more than just 6 seasons.
Yeah, it would have gotten 6 seasons and a movie.
Could have even been more. Could have been 6 seasons and 2 movies.
Sorry, I had to hit the joke there.
Yep. And it's a solid joke. In fact, in the Dark Timeline, we find out that the cape wasn't canceled, was retooled for cable, and it's amazing now. And Abed's life is so complete. So, season 5, I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, I
think
can't
season
wait.
5 might be my favorite.
It's Buzz Hickey.
Buzz Hickey's amazing. Get some more Shirley. I'm gonna miss her. We get the Ash Crack Bandit episode.
The Ash Crack Bandit episode is really good. I think there's a lot of good episodes in season 5.
Floor's Lava.
Yep.
Love that one. I'm gonna start watching season 5, I think, tonight. But we're not doing it next week. Next week we're doing Hallmark Halloween movies. We don't have a title for it yet.
Nope, not yet. But yes, next week we're doing Hallmark Halloween. Then after that, which I believe will be the 29th, or the 30th. The Friday after that is the 30th.
Yes, the 30th.
We will be doing another Halloween thing, which would be perfect. It'll be right before Halloween itself. So yeah, and then once we get back into November, so that'll be November 6th, we will do season 5 of Community, and we'll finish up Community the next 2 weeks, and then we'll start getting into the holidays, which means that you'll see the start of the Hallmarks podcast, as well as us transitioning for Ohio Guys over into our seasonal. I believe probably sometime in November, once we finish up with Community, you'll probably see the OC versus One Tree Hill. I mean, it just has to happen at this point. So, which is kind of, us doing a versus episode is kind of like a callback to one of my starts at the with Nerd Corp.
Yeah, we did a Steiner Brothers Road Warriors debate.
We did a series of debate.
I thought we did 2. Did we do more than 2?
I think we did more than 2. I think we did like a fair few amount.
Well, they're somewhere on the site.
They are somewhere on the site. I just remember that I know that we talked about a lot of stuff. I don't know if it all made it to print, but you and I definitely debated about a lot of stuff. Friendly banter.
I'm pretty sure you held a knife to my throat at one point. Sure, friendly banter. That makes sense.
It's friendly. I didn't kill you, did I?
That's only because I'm fucking Superman and you can't cut me unless you're using your words, in which case I'm very vulnerable.
Chad, the only thing that can cut you is actual physical things that can cut you.
Your words cut me deep, Swish.
Don't you lie to me.
They cut me so deep. I once almost had an emotion because of your words.
But yeah, so probably right after we wrap up Community, we'll jump into our the OC versus One Tree Hill podcast, and then probably round out November with something else before we jump into holiday stuff in December. So yeah.
Keep watching out for the Twitter at NERDCORP and go to the website at realnerdcorp.com, REALNERDCORP.com. All the links, all the posts, all the shows go straight there. You don't need anything else, even though we're everywhere else. That's where you need to go. That's the central hub. Swish, what's your personals?
So you can find me on Twitter at X2000Gregs. That's X2000 GREGS. You can find me on Instagram at 2000Gregs, 2000 GREGS. Chad, where can they find your personals?
You can find me on Twitter at Chad Nerdcorp, ChadNerdCorp, and on the Instagram at Chad's Photo Hut, ChadSPhotoHut. I believe we're done.
Yeah, that's it. But I would love for us to keep going on about how things were, but we're out of time.
Yeah.
We're out of time. We got to go. It's late. We got to get the fuck out of here. Chad, cut the feed. We got to go. We'll see you next time.